What is up, everybody? It's Sam, and we are back with another episode of Pessimistic at Best, the podcast. And guess who I have on the pod today? First time guest, Sarah. What is up, my girl?
Oh my God. I am so excited to be here. You have no idea. I'm your biggest fan.
Stop. I'm so excited to have you on. I feel like it's been a long time coming. I am bummed that we couldn't do it in person, but it's also just like an excuse to have a little Zoom date now that we're remote.
Yes. Yeah. I think, and honestly, the more time I get to hang out with you, the better,
Yes.
So
especially
I love it.
Work.
I know.
Sarah and I
the
are
four
coworkers.
walls of work.
For those of you who don't know, we both work at the Evoke agency. Shout out to us. We are senior account executives by day and social media gurus by night because we just kind of keep it going.
Always. We are never not online. We are always online.
Literally. I feel like that's like the foundation of our friendship, truly.
Oh, completely. Because you're the one person that I know that if a trend happens overnight, I know I can bring it to you and you will know exactly what I'm talking about. And there's nobody else in my life that I can do that with.
I know. It's really nice because I feel like I border on obsession when it comes to pop culture. And I mean, even like the last couple of weeks have just been absolutely insane. So thank God I had you to talk about it with because literally the whole Spitgate, I don't remember the last time that I was like obsessed with something to the point where like I wasn't even getting any work done. I needed to know if Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine.
No, literally and it was amazing because you and I, what are the odds that you were in Madison that week? And we did nothing for like 2 hours one day,
literally
just refreshing Twitter. And I think that's it was so crazy, the Don't Worry Darling stuff in general, because I truly do not remember the last time like that big of a star-studded cast had that much of like a PR and just like downfall from grace, like so hard and so fast. And like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of any other movie that has had that much like huzzah around it. It like never before. And it was insane because it's like the most famous people on earth right now are all in that movie somehow. So it was just so insane to have it be happening like in front of us.
And it was like such a slow spiral too, because obviously all of that stuff happened with like the rumors that she wasn't paying Florence Pugh as much. And then it turned into the whole thing with Shia LaBeouf. And then and then the press tour, just like, I feel like everything exploded.
It was insane. And I think it was crazy prior to that because of the whole like Olivia, Jason Sudeikis, Harry Styles, Love Triangle.
That's so true.
And then there were videos of her being at Harry's tour.
And he served her on stage.
Yes.
Which I like don't know if he actually intended to do that or not, or because I like read something that they don't actually have control over like when the person, but there's no way that was an accident.
I heard that she actually like PR'd that to make people go on to like pendulum swing to her side of everything and like go against Jason Sudeikis. And it's like, honestly,
wait, that's actually really crazy.
I know. I read that and I was like, I think it did the opposite. I truly think like her getting served on pay, like people were like, oh, that's like a dick move, but like nobody was like, hoorah, Olivia after it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no. Well, and I also feel like she already probably has, I don't know, she probably has it a little bit weird because I feel like Harry Styles fans are crazy enough now that like I know she gets hate mail and stuff, which like maybe now, well, not that anyone deserves hate mail, but maybe now I can like understand it more, but I feel like she was probably like purely getting hate for the fact that she was dating Harry Styles.
Dating Harry Styles, which I mean, like, come on, you're dating he is an icon living, like a true like Beyonce level icon living. And it's like, I would not want to be his girlfriend in any capacity, you know?
No. Yeah. Oh my God. And then the way that they were interacting with each other.
No, you would have to pay me $1 million to have a man treat me like that. No, absolutely not. Like he refused. Did you see that one video where she like turned to look at him and he turned away?
Yes, literally.
No, absolutely not. I would I would simply pass away. And then on top of the don't worry, darling stuff, the queen simply passed away in real life.
Okay. The thing about that one for me, I guess I should have expected that to be just like a complete firestorm on the internet, but like, oh my God, the memes, the amount of jokes, people are being savage. And I'm not saying, I mean, like, I don't care too much about British royalty. That's never something I've been super obsessed with. And obviously, like, she's giving colonizer energy. So, but at the same time,
we don't love her past, if we're being honest.
But at the same time, these people were coming for her life. It was just crazy.
I know. And it, like, my favorite tweets though were like the multiverse of madness tweets that were like, I can't believe Olivia Wilde planned Elizabeth's death to get away from the PR storm. Like it was truly like the best, I don't know, cross-reference of things happening ever, you know?
I also feel like even before that, like literally same week, or at least kind of trickling in from the week prior, was like all of the stuff with Leah Michelle and can she read?
No, did you see the one tweet that was like, can you imagine trying to explain that photo of Leah Michelle to anybody? Like,
oh my God. Literally.
I was like, and it's so funny because very unsurprisingly, it was a Glee kid. Like we would have parties every Thursday at rotating people's houses to watch Glee because we were theater kids and had nothing better to do on a weeknight. So there is a part of me that like Leah Michelle was part of my life during my formative years, but it is just, I don't know where this rumor started or why, but it has taken a life of its own. And it's just, oh my God, it was so funny. It's so bizarre.
It's really crazy. And I also feel like it's even crazier the way that she's chosen to kind of respond to it, because she has not expressly said like, this is so crazy because I can read.
Which is such like an easy thing to say too. Like, I like how her PR statement in that one magazine was just like, yeah, no, like it's wild. Like there was no statement.
She didn't say either way, here nor there. Girl, can you read? Like, give us a sign.
And then all the tweets that were like, audio, like a group chat, and then Leah Michelle's message would always be an audio message.
Oh my God.
I love it. And it's also funny because during all of it, like the video of Olivia Wilde calling Florence Pugh Miss Flo took a life of its own. So everybody started to call like Miss Lizzie, like the queen, Miss Lizzie.
Well, I also thought it was so crazy when the stylists started throwing shade at each other.
I was so here for like, that.
There is levels to this shit.
Yeah, literally. And then like it was just so chaotic because I was with somebody during the night that Shia LaBeouf reacted to Olivia's article, and then I was with that same person during the Venice like filming or like screening, and I like pop culture word vomited, and I was like. Literally, at one point, he was napping. I was like, babe, wake up. There's new stuff coming out. And he was like, what?
Oh my God, that's so funny. That's like me. I'm home last week, like trying to like word for word explain it all to my mom, give her the play-by-play. She could not care less. She's like,
literally.
What?
Who is this? Do you know these people? At one point when I was talking to my mom about it, she was like, do you know these people? You're very invested. And I was like, no.
I think that's why we're so invested.
Right. But here's the real question for you, Sam. Are you or are you not going to see the movie?
I feel like at this point, I literally have to.
That's how I feel. Like, I don't want to give Miss Olivia, money, but I can't not see it, right?
I feel like that's just going to close the loop for me. So I need to do that for myself.
Right. Okay. For myself. That's how I felt too. So I'm going opening weekend with the poor man that I was with during the two biggest PR moments, because I was like, we just have to close this. Like, We were together from start to finish on this and making you go to this film with me.
Journey, literally.
And so it got kind of powerful for me because at one point he was sending me memes about "Don't worry, darling," and I was like, "All right, I see
amazing. You." Success.
And then
my God.
he made his own meme on Twitter using the Chris Pine meme because of me. So like I win, you know?
Yes. I love it.
I love it.
No, and it was one of those things too where like I was fully aware that if I had just waited a day, I'm sure the Spitgate situation would have revealed itself. But I was like, I need to be the detective to uncover this myself.
No, actually, I would tell me why I was up until 2 a.m. just refreshing Twitter. Like it was just
Well, I also don't remember the last time. I think that's why it's so fun. The last time that people were collectively all gossiping about something online and everyone is constantly sharing new hot takes and updates. Strangers on the internet, and I'm having so much fun being
so much fun. Right. Yeah. And I think that is what it is. It's like that collective, like, and everybody, I think the internet clearly has been so divided in the last couple of years, right? Like everybody's screaming at each other for breathing. Yeah. So I think, there's this joy and this fun of like playing detective about nothing actually serious, but it just feels really fun, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's so true. Like it's really nice to have breaking news that doesn't actually matter anymore.
Right. Yeah. It doesn't actually impact life deeply. Like it's just kind of, it seems funny. It seems silly to have that type of breaking news coming off of the last 2 years of our life and like being a woman.
100%.
Like, you know,
literally. Even just like earlier this year, I mean, it was like Roe v. Wade, so much bad news. We were constantly, I mean, and you and I also work in social media. So we're constantly like backtracking or pivoting for our clients and
right.
and it's like, why am I doing this when my rights are literally being stripped away? But here I am. It's just like so crazy.
It is so crazy. And it feels really, I think it's funny because I mean, you and I have talked about this a lot of like, I think you and I both strive to have a career in social media. So it's funny to be living out what was once our dream. Like we're both managers in social media, super fun clients, super fun teams. We get to work together. But on days where there is some serious, real like breaking news, it's like, what am I doing? And sometimes it's nice to have each other in those moments because it's like, I don't know, but like the 16-year-old versions of ourselves are really proud.
Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely.
But yeah, it's like a weird mix to create online because your accounts, like you guys have memes that go viral like often, like pretty often. So it must be really interesting for you to be creating, you know, these moments on the internet, but also be a consumer. My accounts don't have that virality going viral the same way you do.
Yes.
But I consume it. So it's just, that must be interesting from your point of view.
It is, and it's fun. I think for me, it's also especially interesting because my main client who has that level of like such a large audience, like I used to kind of work in that industry because I worked at a salon and it's interesting to see, like I've even had some of my old coworkers share some of our memes. Yeah. Which is just like such a full circle moment. But it's also just funny because I just never thought that my full-time job as a 26-year-old would be making memes.
Oh my God. You know, what's so funny is, so you and I share the same manager. And sometimes when I get really overwhelmed or just like really stressed out about work, she's like, Sarah, at the end of the day, we're like spinning on a rock making memes. Like, it's okay. And I think and sometimes it is one of those things, but it doesn't like downgrade what we're doing, but it helps put it into perspective of like, okay, like at the end of the day, that is truly what we're doing. Like it's fine.
Exactly. And I also think sometimes that helps just because I mean, it is so easy for things to feel like a fire on social because so much of what we're doing is reactionary or even, I mean, that's just kind of the way agency life is in general a lot of the time. Really? And then I think it is really good to be able to sit back and be like, okay, yes, I'm going to work really hard in this situation, but if we don't get this post up today, our lives are literally not going to end and the world will keep spinning.
Right. There will still be a new PR disaster that we get to balk at. Always. Always.
Okay, but I have a question for you because I feel like
Yeah.
you're better about this than I am. I get
Okay.
really fatigued and I feel like because I do social all day long, I get really
Mhm.
fatigued on my own channels. And it's like, I still
Oh,
want to put out
okay.
content. I like social media. I like being a part of it as a person, not just in my
Yeah.
everyday life, but I
Right.
get really tired of it.
Mm-hmm. That's why I get fatigued in a different, like, I don't watch TV a lot of that. Like, I watch TV on Saturdays. Like, I can't come home and like watch TV because we're looking at a screen all day.
Yeah.
So like I like to read or I just listen to music or whatever, but I just like consuming that much stuff can be a lot. I think I I like having like this is so conceited, but I love having a color story on my personal account, and I love being able to tell like who I like the idea of a stranger coming across my profile and finding out the three things that I want people to know about me is that I like coffee, Taylor Swift, and pop culture. And I like
Totally.
being able to like figure out how can I make that message come across clear in a fun color story. So I think sometimes I'm really not good about it. And other times, like a random Tuesday, I'll be like, I want to make TikToks. Like I want to redo my color story and like start adding in black. So, you know, with the winter, I wear black
Yeah.
all day, every day, you know? Um, so I think it's one of those things where when you get that spark of creativity, you got to run with it, but don't force it. And also, I think I've learned to just stop caring. Like I
Yeah.
used to care a lot about like, what if my TikTok doesn't get this many views, or what if, you know, what if my one like filler post that's like a sunset or whatever that has more of a long caption like doesn't get as many likes. Like, of course it's not going to, because it's not a face, and we all know faces do better on social, right?
Yes.
Like, so it is one of these weird things where I try and bridge what we know about social into my personal and try and like, I don't know, curate that a little bit more.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
No, I mean, and like, I feel like I used to have that. I don't even necessarily know if it's just from working in social media or also what we were just talking about, where like there's just maybe been an insane amount of bad news. And so then
right,
it's harder to be
right,
online
right,
but it's so funny because like I'm still consuming it. I am literally on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok all day long.
right. Same. And I think sometimes it's one of those things where what I had to do is I had to stop being like everybody else. Like I had to find like what do I care about and what do I want my thing to be. Because there's so many new trends happening, and trends happen so fast. I mean, like
Yes.
that one night, and I know you'll know what I'm talking about, like when brands were saying like the one word like thing. So like Starbucks said like coffee and Dr. Pepper said soda. Like
Yes.
that was a trend for an hour, you know? So it's one of those things of like trends happen so fast and whatever. So I think it's just important to find your niche and like run with it, and then
Yeah.
be okay that you can't do every single trend all the time, because
Yeah.
that's just not real life, you know?
Definitely. No, and I mean, it's like we chase those trends all day long at work.
Right.
So you just got to find the ones that are fun if you're going to do them
Right.
also at home in your personal life, because otherwise it just gets
Exactly.
so crazy.
Yeah. And I think too, like it's funny because according to my TikTok, I have had like 9 situationships and like 4 breakups this year, according to like with the content I create. Realistically, I have had one single crush. So like I think there's also this like it's okay to kind of, and I definitely have like my theater background, and I think that's what's fun about TikTok is you can kind of pull inspiration into that and just kind of be silly and goofy and be like, literally, the World Wide Web is insane. It's a dumpster fire. Put
It
out what you want to put
is.
out, you know,
Yeah.
like whatever at the end of the day. So
No,
I
totally.
try and do that, you know.
Well, and I think TikTok especially is perfect for that because I mean, it definitely can get picked up, but like I think a lot of people use it in such a more casual way than Instagram. So it's nice because it feels like the pressure is off and you're kind of just like shouting into the void. Honestly,
Oh my
same with
God.
Twitter. Um,
I think TikTok and Twitter are so similar, like truly,
yeah.
because Twitter is quite frankly just me screaming into the void. Like
Ugh, it's the
nothing
best.
is serious on there, but I have found that it has shaped my humor so deeply, and it like shouldn't, because Twitter is
100%.
so dark. Like,
Yeah. I know. Twitter is a really, really crazy place. I also feel like Twitter and TikTok specifically, I feel like at this point in time, each have like their own individual trends, and those two platforms are like the basis for everything. Instagram picks all that stuff up like
a day later, or
yeah.
2 or 3 weeks, you know.
And then Twitter loves to be like, can't wait for Facebook to find out about this in a week.
That's always the funniest thing. Or have you seen like the TikTok people who like are actual influencers on TikTok be like, I can't wait for people who use Reels to find out about this in a month. And I'm like, ooh.
Literally. Okay. Instagram is a hot fucking mess. I think that's another piece of it. That platform specifically, I don't even know how to use personally anymore.
And that's also what it is like, I mean, I'm sure we've always been users of Instagram, but I remember when it was like not cool to post your post on your stories, and it was like, and now I'm like, you know what? Actually, I just don't care, because the algorithm hates me. So I'm just going to remind all of you that I posted, because that's the only way that this post is going to get 2 likes, arguably, is if I post it on my story. Because, I don't know. I would love to have a conversation with whoever runs Instagram and be like, what are you doing? Like, baby, what are you doing?
I know. Like, literally, they have tried, and they've been doing this for years, but they're trying so hard to be like everybody else. Just be your own thing. People gravitated to your platform for a reason.
Right. And that's the thing where it's just like, we already have TikTok. Like, we don't need another video. Like, we just don't. Like, keep it to pictures, please. I am begging you, you know?
I know. And like, did you see that they want to start doing something along the lines of Be Real? Oh my God.
But that's the thing where it's just like, that's why we all downloaded Be Real, is because Instagram, you didn't have this. So like, at this point, what is making you different? I feel like they're just a middle school girl where they're picking up the personalities of all their friends.
Yes. Oh my God, that is exactly what it is. Oh my God, that's so crazy.
Where it's just like, oh my God, like Sam, yes, like your favorite color is purple. Oh my God, same. Yes, and it's just like, dude. Instagram, I know for a fact that your favorite color isn't purple, so please shut up. Like,
well, and I also feel like it's one of those things where we all gravitated to Instagram because of what it offered at the time. And I will say, I mean, on the one hand, it started with really being about aesthetics and like, yes, putting like the highlight reel out there, the best of the best, which I do feel like in general, people are starting to gravitate away from, which is why I feel like they felt like they needed to do something else to play catch up, because now people value authenticity and it's less about like all the filters and whatever. But at the same time, we can still do that on Instagram via photo. Like, it doesn't have to mean that now suddenly we're doing Be Real or we're doing Reels or we're doing whatever the fuck.
And I think too, there is that shift of everybody face tuned, but nobody would say that they face tuned. Yes. Then everybody talked about the fact that they face tuned. And now we're in this weird spot of, again, authenticity. But can we just, like, as you said, like, do it in photos? Like, I'm already doing the authenticity aspect of my life on TikTok. 100%. And everybody has seen me without makeup on Be Real. I don't want to like also, do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's just, and it's hard to, and it's also hard as strategists, right? In our day-to-day, our 9 to 5, to like explain this as we're supposed to clients. Cause it's like, I don't know. It's important to have, but I don't know why it's important to have anymore on a personal level. So for a brand,
right,
it's just good to have, you know?
Right, literally, for the numbers. It's just crazy.
Right.
I mean, and I think it's just getting really hard to navigate that platform anymore anyways, because it's changing so much right now that, like, from a social media manager perspective, it is like impossible to keep up. And then the content it just tanks.
Right, exactly. And that's the hard thing too, of like, it very much is reminding me of like the ghost of Christmas past a little bit. Like, Facebook did, not in the same way that MySpace died, but in the way that Facebook, like, there are users of Facebook, but it's not like we check it every day out of like muscle memory, right? But I feel like eventually, if Instagram continues to be a middle school girl, people are gonna start thinking of it as the next Facebook, and like, that's the last thing they want. And I think that by changing so much and then going back on their changes, they're screwing themselves over, you
I
know?
think so too. And I mean, it's clear that the algorithm, no one's shit gets seen by anybody. And like everyone
No.
keeps complaining about the fact that they don't even see their friends. All they see is ads.
I literally, Sam, I like did this one time of it took me four true scrolls on my phone before I saw somebody that I followed, because they were all meme accounts that were like, you would like this, like type of accounts,
Yeah.
and then ads. And I was like, can I just see my friends' posts, please? Like,
Literally, the things I chose to follow on this platform. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That would be ideal. And nothing gives me a high like going through an unfollowing spree. So like once every 3 months, I go and unfollow a bunch of people. And I just did that like last week. It was great. It was beautiful.
That is nice.
So it's like, it's not like I'm following, a ton of people where I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know who this is, but I follow them. Like, no, I know who I'm following because I'm specific about it. So can you just show me their content, please?
Literally. I know. I feel like that's half the reason I haven't done that. I need to do that so incredibly badly. I went through a phase. I follow like over 2,000 people on Instagram, and I have no idea why, because I don't see
Shut up. My jaw
any of it.
Literally just dropped. That's insane.
It's so crazy. And I like never cared about like, because I feel like it was a thing back in the day. You don't want to follow more people than follow you or whatever. That was like such a thing. And now I kind of wish I would have cared about that a little bit more, because the amount I just follow, if I've ever seen like a piece of art that I like, I follow the artist and then I never see them again. It's all of that. And then I follow, I follow the celebrities. I follow influencers that I don't give a shit about because of course.
But they're like, but you have to keep up with them,
Right. Like now I'm invested.
Right. Exactly. No, that happens too. Or I find myself doing this thing where like I'll watch a super weird show that has like one season on Hulu and Netflix. And then I become like completely obsessed with everybody in the cast. So I go and follow them. And then I never think about those people ever again 100%. Or that show ever again, because it has one season for a reason. And then I'm just stuck following them for the rest of my life.
Or the even slightly worse version of that is following all of the like reality TV stars. So
my God,
not me following everyone on Love Island season 8, because like literally they are going to be irrelevant as soon as I'm done watching this show. Those people aren't even actually famous, but here I am.
No, every time. So my best friend and I, every time I go home, we sit there and we watch a season of Love Island. And we are like obsessed with Love Island UK season 2 specifically. Like season 2 just hit in a different way.
That's
and
Adam's first season, right? So that's and then he comes back later. Oh my God, it's insane.
That's so embarrassing.
Dude, who was on that show? I mean, it's one thing to go on at once, but twice? What is the matter with you?
As a man, why are you on Love Island twice?
Literally. That is embarrassing.
Oh my God. Choices were definitely made. And he, honestly, season 2 I want to like him so badly, but he's just weird. He is one of the weirdest people and he's just so uncomfy. You know what I mean?
I also think something really interesting about at least how he's playing his cards on season 8 is I feel like he's trying to be like the grown adult who doesn't have time for bullshit and is like,
oh my God, as if
literally. And it's like, you are on a reality TV dating show, so I'm not buying it for 1 second. Also, you've been on it twice.
Wait, is he still in like the British version of WWE? Is he like a fake wrestler still?
Wait, is he? Is that where he got his, is that like what he got his little start in?
Yeah.
No
so
way.
Yeah. His wrestling name is, oh man, I forget. I like, yeah, but he was like a wrestler, like a Hulk Hogan wrestler where they're like fake but real, you know?
Yes. Yeah, I actually used to watch a lot of WWE for some reason as a
Shut
child.
up. Okay, me too, but I have an older brother, so I have questions for you.
No, it's so valid. I like truly don't know. My really good childhood friend Annie, she was like a little bit of a tomboy and she was pretty into WWE, so I was like, yes, let's watch it. That not me being the middle school girl picking up other people's personalities.
Not you being Instagram, my dude. Oh my God, that is so funny. Wait, so who was your favorite WWE wrestler?
Well, so it was like, it's old because this was when what was his name? He was so scary, and he wore like a big dark trench coat and had like wet
and he would fly
hair.
from the sky.
Yes.
No, and he would that's my favorite guy too. Shut up, Sam. No, this is so insane because you and I have never talked about this before. That is so funny. No, he was my favorite guy too.
Yeah, that shit was so crazy. It was so dramatic, and it's really crazy too that it's just acting. Like they're basically all just stunt doubles.
Yeah, literally. They're literally just like Bruce Willis wannabes, essentially. Yes. Do you know what I mean? No, our favorite guy, he had a star, like the white star on his, right? Yeah. I have to find his name.
Yeah, he was really scary. And their like walkout songs were like crazy.
Oh, insane. And then also like, that was the era of Cold Stone Austin, who also became an actor at one point. And then Hulk Hogan. Remember when the Hogans had their own reality TV show on VH1?
Yes.
Wow. That was an intense time.
That was a really good time of reality TV.
Oh, completely. Yeah. Because also the Osbournes had one like a reality TV show for some reason.
There were so many dating shows around then. That was when like there was like Flava Flav or Flavor of Love. Yes. Oh my God, he's so scary.
Sting. What a man. What a man. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, no, Flavor Flav. And then that was the most iconic. Honestly, that was the first Spitgate that you and I have ever lived through, was when he voted New York out and then she spit.
Wow, that is so true. That was really crazy.
Mm-hmm. We were really like 8. Like, why were we watching that?
Straight up. I also loved Bad Girls Club. Did you ever watch that? Yes. I was obsessed with it.
Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, truly. Also, Room Raiders on MTV.
Yes.
Like, what was television at that point? You know?
It was just so unhinged. I feel like there were no rules because now reality TV is so scripted. It's not, and you can't get away with as much. Like that was like truly like people who were doing that to themselves, who were going on VH1 and MTV in the early 2000s were selling their souls because.
Oh, completely. And like, there were so many weird ones, like Tia Tequila, that one.
So she actually, fun fact about her, she dated my elementary school gym teacher for like 3 months. Yep. Yes.
Shut up. No way. Before?
I think it was pre-fame. She was like maybe starting to get famous, but I don't think she had her show because obviously she was dating somebody.
Insane. Yeah. I hope your gym teacher's okay. Like,
don't we all?
Literally, as we all fondly remember our favorite gym teacher. Oh man, that's so wild. When did you start to become when did you start living on the like internet and becoming so like pop culture induced all the time?
That is a really good question because I feel like I went in spurts of caring and like not caring as much. I mean, I was definitely like on social. I was never a Tumblr girl. I really wanted to be, but I like never quite made it onto the scene. So that was not it for me. Were you a Tumblr girl?
Funny. Of course I was a Tumblr girl. Of course
you were. Honestly, I see that for you.
Oh yeah. I had my black hair and like I had to paint my nails black today for a photo shoot at work. And I was just brought back to like 2014 Tumblr. Yes. Like I almost wore like ripped tights with my skirt, you know, like I used to have a black nose ring. Like now I have my silver, but man, I was going through it, you know, like through and through.
For sure. No, I was never a Tumblr girly. I was on MySpace, and then when that went away, plus I feel like around that time like MySpace and YouTube kind of came up around the same time.
Yeah, that's
true. I feel like I started consuming things on YouTube a little bit, and I was never into I never got into any of the actual YouTubers, but I was like on the platform searching things up.
Yeah.
And then I feel like, I mean, of course I was on Facebook and things like that. That was like obviously more just to be. That was when social was just to communicate with friends and less to keep up with like public figures.
yeah, I feel like Facebook in the era that you and I were on Facebook was more definitely just to like be friends with your aunt that you liked,
Right.
you know, like it wasn't like the memification of everything. Like it wasn't what it
Right.
currently is. You know what I mean?
But I guess if I even think then around that time, the way that I was involved in pop culture was like magazines. Like I
Oh my
fucking
gosh.
loved
Oh,
magazines. Like
same,
People,
but
17 magazine, Teen Vogue,
J14,
J14, yes.
yes. Teen. Oh my gosh. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I had a subscription to J14. So
Yeah, I like went through phases of having subscriptions to all of them. I remember specifically when I signed up for Cosmopolitan and the first one came to my house and my mom was like, "Samantha, like what on earth are you doing with this slutty little magazine?" That got canceled real quick.
Oh, I love that. What was the less slutty version of Cosmo for teen? Was it 17 magazine?
Yeah.
I remember getting 17 magazine as like a 13-year-old and my mother not being happy with me. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
no,
it definitely had some things like it would. I don't remember if they explicitly talked. They probably didn't because I'm sure you like can if they explicitly talked about like sex or anything like that. But I'm sure that
yeah.
they were talking about like kissing boys or like.
Oh my gosh. Don't you remember like all the drama between Selena Gomez and Miley Cyrus and Nick Jonas being
Yeah, of
like
course.
literally that was the cover of every teen magazine, I swear to God, for like 2 years straight. Like,
Yeah.
and they would always talk about, yeah, no. It was always, I mean, there were always those innuendos, I think, always,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And maybe it's the fact that we came up consuming pop culture with that era of Disney kids.
Right. It
Because I
was
think
that.
there has to be some sort of study between that because they had this weird fame moment where there were cell phones and they were getting followed all the time
Yeah.
versus like Paris Hilton, Lindsay Lohan, that crew, we saw them at like 25 and 26. So they went through the mess of being a teenager without cell phones being
Yeah.
around.
Yeah. And there was still like paparazzi and stuff, but I just don't feel like it was the same level
No.
of exposure. So yeah, I really feel for the generation of Disney kids that we grew up knowing and loving because I just feel like, I mean, they all took a swing on the pendulum. If you look at like Miley Cyrus and Demi Lovato and everybody, like I feel like they like really felt the need to expunge themselves from the Disney kid
idea. Yeah. I mean, like I in part of my brand is being a Demi Lovato hater. I truly absolutely cannot stand anything she but I do feel like I feel sad for her. I think I have I have addictive personalities in my family, so I totally get the idea of being an addict and like the struggles that come with that. And you know, it's not that's why I don't like her. It's just like the behavior outside of that.
Yeah.
But I feel for her and Miley specifically, and I feel like Selena didn't have to go through it in the same way. Maybe because she dated Justin Bieber and that was her weird, like getting out of the cage. But they were just so, I feel, brainwashed, maybe.
Yeah.
Of like, girls look up to you, so you have to act this way. I mean, like on a much smaller scale, I feel like that being a young manager of like, oh man, like what I say has value
Impact,
to other people. Yeah. And that's weird. So I cannot imagine what that feels like on the scale that they had to deal with that, you know?
No, me neither. And I feel like it was also a weird situation where on the one hand, they are seen as innocent Disney kids. On the other hand, they're also young women who are being hypersexualized by the media. And
exactly.
It's like not their fault.
No, not at all. Like they're growing up. I mean, the most recent version of that is Millie Brown.
Yeah.
From Stranger Things, where she, you know, all the stuff with like her and Drake being friends and people trying to like make that weird. And it's like,
I know.
Yo, Drake was having a whole kid with somebody when that was happening. Like he was having a whole baby with a grown woman.
Literally.
Like, and it's just like people being like, oh, she got so gorgeous. And it's like, yeah, because she's 17. And when we first saw her, she was literally 11.
Yeah.
You know, and I just cannot imagine growing up in that type of limelight because it's awkward no matter what. Growing, like being 10 is awkward, being 12 is awkward, being 15 is awkward, arguably.
I know.
Being like 21 is awkward.
No, 100%. I mean, what are we, I'm 26. That shit's still awkward.
It's so awkward. I find myself so many times in a day being like, I wish I was normal. Like, I wish, I wish I could not be me right now, you know? Like,
yes.
No, it's painful.
And that's why sometimes it's hard to get myself to post a TikTok.
Right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's like all the way back around to like, you know what? And it's just, you know what I get weird about posting on social is like, what does this say? Like, what impression am I giving? I get weird about that because, I mean, I had some pretty public stuff happen in high school, and everybody kind of had this weird opinion of me and this twisted reality of who I was. So like, I didn't post a picture of me on the beach until 2 summers ago.
Yeah,
like that's crazy. Insane. You know, like, and that's such a normal thing for like girly pops to post without a question. And it's like, I still sometimes before I post something like even kind of funny or like giving a kiss to the camera or something like that, like I sit there and I'm reeling like, what does this message give? And it's like, God, like, does it matter? Like, I know. Truly, nobody looks at your photos as long as you are looking at your own photos, babe. Like, just get over it and post it, you know?
Well, and I think at the end of the day, that's what's really interesting about social media, because you should just post whatever you want. Like, it is for you. Right. It is your creative outlet to do what you want. But at the same time, I mean, I even have people in my life who have like severe social media anxiety and can't even bring themselves to put up a post just because their wheels are spinning about what other people might think. And it's like, it's like crazy that is, I mean, that's like a crippling thing for some people.
Yeah, truly. And it's also funny because it's like, it's so funny, like what we think we're giving off. You know, like in every, like, so I did like the monthly recaps because that was like such a trend, right? So I put like a photo of the time I was hanging out with the guy that I was talking about earlier in each of my like monthly recaps. I guarantee he has no idea that I did that. But like for me, I was like, oh my gosh, like he it's a little hint that I was with him. And it's like, no, it's not. Like that is not a hint to anybody else.
Soft launch.
Right, literally soft launch with him not in the photo at all, bro. So it's just funny how like how you convince yourself of things when it's just like not true, you know?
I know. And at the end of the day, you're going to be way harder on yourself than literally anybody else.
I mean, I've had friends too, like not post a picture because like, oh, my arms look big. And it's like, dude, nobody's gonna be zooming in on your arms. But when it's like, and it's so much easier to give that advice than to totally, you know, be the one. But it sucks. Or you know what I get upset about because I'm absolutely insane is when my color grid, like when my grid is thrown off by something that I post, 100%. And then I'm sitting there like trying to fix like, oh my God, I can't have 3 selfies in a row. Like, yes, you can. Like, nobody cares.
I know. I'm the same way. And I also feel like, I think that's also actually why I'm mad at Instagram, because I used to have so much fun curating my feed. And now I feel like Instagram's like, hey, that shit doesn't matter anymore. And I'm like, fuck you. I want it to matter still.
I want it to matter. And I want it to look. And the other thing that pisses me off about Instagram is the little icons. Like if it's like a multiple swipe post or like a reel, like I don't want the icon on my face. No, like move it.
Same.
Go away.
That's so true. Yeah.
I don't know. They're just the worst. Honestly, you know what other platform makes me upset as we're talking about it? LinkedIn. Because people post things on LinkedIn that do not need to be on LinkedIn.
No, LinkedIn is actually a really crazy place because some people use it like Facebook, or I don't even know, but they're using it like all these other social media platforms. And I'm like, what on earth are you doing? Because this is not your place to share these weird personal stories about yourself, or people are posting memes on there. Like, what on earth
are you doing? Yeah. It's so weird to me. But my personal favorite is when like men use LinkedIn as a dating app. And it's like, quite frankly, what are you doing? Like,
sorry, sir. The applications for this position are not currently open. Like, go away. There was a man who sent me something. It was recent, and he gave me some basic compliment that we've all heard 900 times, right? And then he follows up with,
I'm sorry if that was weird. No, if you ever have to
Oh.
say, I'm sorry if that was, it was weird. Like, you know that I know that you know it was weird. So don't say that, you know?
And also, if you were going to follow it up with an apology, just don't even say it at
Oh,
all.
exactly. Like, this is not the wild, wild west, unfortunately. Like, oh
Dude,
my God,
yeah,
it's
that's
just so weird.
only men would find the most inappropriate ways to flirt on a professional growth platform.
Honestly, the audacity is truly unmatched, if we're being honest, you know?
Yeah, ick. You know,
I know.
a social media that I have just because it's literally a social media that I've spent no time on is dating
Mm.
apps. And they are a
I
fascinating social media to me.
because it really is a social media, and it is so I don't have a date. I haven't gone on the apps. But I have a few friends who have, and like it is truly so addicting. Like we have had sleepovers in which we all sit on the couch, and like my married friends will join, and we will sit
Right.
there and like judge people's profiles as
100%.
if they're like not human. And it's like as we're doing it, it's so wrong, but like it is so addicting to just like
Yes.
swipe through what people are willing to share
I
and like
know. Well, and to
pull
have,
it
I feel like
out.
there's something that feels probably like unhealthily powerful about being able to swipe left or right on someone.
Oh, it is so it's like playing God. Like it is there is no other
Literally.
way to explain it other than like I choose not to like you
Yeah.
on zero basis. Like you are just being rude for no reason because you can.
I
Like
know.
humans
Yeah.
are disgusting.
They really are. No, and that's I think a part of why I mean, I also been in long-term relationship, but so I mean, I guess that's the bigger reason.
Yeah, I will say though, I tried to get into onto Raya because I one of my two people that we know are on Raya and
Yeah.
gave me like a recommendation for it, and I'm still on the wait list. So I just lied to you. I do have a dating app on my phone because I am waiting to be accepted. Not like the Madison crew. I cannot imagine the Madison Raya
Scene.
vibe is great, but
Well, no, and that's actually that one's even crazier to me because it's referral based. Like that is such an insane concept. Also, who got to be the first person? Like the amount of power that they have is like so
I know.
crazy.
It's so crazy because I don't remember. I don't know. Well, I guess you were a YouTube girly. So were you a BuzzFeed girly particularly?
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
1,000%. Yeah. A dream job at one point was to work at BuzzFeed. How embarrassing.
I actually also applied to a couple jobs at BuzzFeed.
I think anybody who's worked in social or who currently has a career in social has at
Has at
least
one point.
tried
Yes.
to work at BuzzFeed.
BuzzFeed Hive, rise up.
Yeah, literally, like, yeah, it was, man, the chokehold that BuzzFeed had on me. But the Try Guys, when they were still with BuzzFeed,
Yes.
did an episode of, who's the kind of nerdier guy? I forget. He tried to make it on to Raya. So they all had to like apply to be on Raya. Eugene got in a second because of course he did, you know? But then it was, they like talked to the founders and it was just a bunch of like country club white people, good looking people making an app. And they were like, yeah, we only want like rich, good looking people on this
The
app.
best of the best, the cream of the crop,
Literally.
if you will.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. It's just like, it was just like a bunch of 20-year-old good looking people at a country club being like, yeah, I don't really want to date common folk.
Yep.
Like that's
Literally. That
insane.
is such an insane thing to say. And to say it and then make a whole system for that caters to your wants and needs.
Literally. And it's so like people are crazy about it. And the rules and regulations of Raya are crazy. Like I've heard some girls who go on TikTok, like I don't know if you've seen that trend where they go and be like, these are the celebrities I've seen on Raya, and then they talk about
Sure.
it.
Yes, I
They
have
get
seen
kicked
that.
off. They
Really?
Raya, yeah, they like kick them off.
Interesting.
Isn't that crazy?
That is really crazy. Plus, I feel like, I mean, when you do something like that with people on an app like Raya, those are powerful people who have the means to be like, I don't want this girl on this app anymore.
Exactly. And okay, my favorite I mean, I have a lot of favorite pop culture facts, but my favorite fact is that Chris Rock was on Raya for a little bit. And I just think that is the funniest thing.
That's
like
really crazy. The math isn't quite mathing on that one, to be honest.
No.
Sir, what are you doing here?
Like, sir, this is quite literally Wendy's. Like, what are you doing? Like,
oh my God, that's funny.
Like, I can see, like, obviously there's stories about like Shawn Mendes and Charlie Puth and like, you know, like that makes sense to me, right? But like Chris Rock, literally, you're Chris Rock. Go away.
Yeah.
Like, go
do anything else. Also, that seems like the kind of app he would make fun of.
Oh, completely. Exactly. Like that seems like the beginning of like a stand-up comedy for him. It's like without a doubt, you know?
Maybe that was it. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe it was for the
maybe
crafting a little joke.
It was immersion. It was immersion therapy. Oh my God. Can you imagine? But yeah, no, I just think it's fascinating that I was talking about this with my friends of like that we're on Earth at the same time of like Leonardo DiCaprio's 25-year-old bullshit and then like also Beyonce and also
I know.
You know what I mean? Like we're kind of in like such a because everybody talks about like old Hollywood and like the 40s and the 50s and the glam and like I cannot imagine being around for that either. But like right now is also absolutely insane.
It is really crazy. And it's also, I mean, I think we also grew up at a really interesting time because it'll be curious to see what like the next couple of generations who have grown up with social literally from the start, like they came out of the womb and they had an Instagram account already made for them.
No, I know. Literally, like, yeah, parents like stealing, like getting the handles ready for their kids. And it's like, what the hell?
I know. You know? Like shit, it really is crazy out there.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy, especially like for the like mom influencers, man. Yes. I cannot. Or like the Ace family.
Yep.
You know, I cannot with those. It's wild.
Well, honestly, like mommy influencers now are like the social media version of pyramid scheme MLM girlies.
Oh my God. MLM girlies are my favorite. No, my favorite thing is these are my two favorite things in life. When men who bullied me in high school connect with me on LinkedIn because that is just funny to me. And also women who bullied me, when they reach out to me on Instagram, they're like, hey girly. And I'm like, okay, this is either that you're seeing my man, that is not my man, or you're trying to send me some freaking essential oils that I do not want.
Literally. You know? No, there is truly nothing more satisfying than that experience when it's like someone you're like, you would turn out to be an MLM girl. And now here you are begging for the sale.
Exactly. Like you and your 18 kids from your high school sweetheart, like go away.
Oh my God. Yeah.
I cannot. No, there's so many weird corners of the internet. I mean, you and I have talked about that too, of just like, it's so weird how many little.
Well, and I think that, it's like good and bad, right? Because on the one hand, I think it's really cool that we are all connected enough now through social that you can find people who are interested in whatever it is that you're interested in. And you don't like, there's not really, I mean, there's obviously still pop culture, but there's not like one way to be cool anymore or like one thing that everyone has to care about. So then you're going to idolize someone who's into the same things that you are versus just having like one. I mean, obviously there's like still Queen Beyonce, but like, and no one can take that title from her.
No.
But like, I really don't feel like there will be other mega stars in that way, just for the simple fact that like, you can find someone who fits your niche now. And that's really cool. But on the other hand, of course, sometimes the hobbies or then you think of like weird fucking 4chan groups or like whatever.
Well, QAnon is what I was going to say.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. But then it also allows for like QAnon people. But on the opposite, and this is kind of how I forced you into friendship a little bit, was like, we can admit it. It's fine. I definitely forced you into friendship.
And I'm like, so glad that you did.
Oh my God. I literally was like, you will be my friend, whether you like it or not. Is like, in a weird way, as I followed you on Instagram and Twitter, say psych right now. That is the scariest sentence when somebody's like, I found your Twitter. I'm like, please, no, you did not.
Fair.
Like, no, you didn't.
Twitter is a safe space, literally.
Twitter is a safe space.
And we have to maintain that.
We do. What I realized is you and I have very similar, like what we find funny is similar. So I was like, oh no, like this is how I can kind of like, I got my in with you through social media because
and
I saw that we
references.
follow.
Yeah,
exactly. We followed like 99 of the same accounts, you know, which is like or whatever it was. But you know what I mean? Where I was like, oh my God, no, we can mirror the fact that we both are on the internet all the time.
We unfortunately obsess over the exact same things.
And it's so funny because like there have definitely been meetings in which like I will say something, you know, and like only you and Jake get it because I'll be like, it's giving, and somebody will be like, giving what? And I'm like, oh my God, like I don't, never mind, like literally never mind.
Oh my God, I know for sure. And especially it gets real niche sometimes, real meta.
so meta. Like the brother in Christ thing. I think you and I said that for like 4 weeks straight. Like my brother in Christ, like calm down.
Insane.
Or even like how you and I probably can never hear the words Dunkin' Donuts without thinking of the exact same image of Ben Affleck.
100% with like 1,000 Dunkin' Donuts things in his arms. Like, does he know something that we don't?
Right. So it's just like, I don't know. So I think it's also cool because yes, there's this niche, but it also sheds light on how you can like easily become connected to, you know, like social media is connecting us, but it is such a way to connect with people also, you know?
Yeah. And just find commonalities. When did you know that you wanted to work in social?
Man, I knew I wanted to work in social when I was, I don't know, I guess when I was probably in my HR degree.
That's classic, when honestly.
I was going to school for something completely different. I think part of it was like I loved, in a weird way, like I loved the power that social media had over me. I was like, what is this? You know, like I wanted to know why and like how it worked, I guess. So I remember being in so I have a associates in HR. So I was in the summer between my 2 years and being like, I don't want to work in HR. I actually hate this. But I only had 2 semesters left, so I just finished it out. But I think that summer, while being a truck driver recruiter for my internship.
Absolutely love that for you. That is a very unique piece of history in your professional career.
Yeah, I've got stories about that one. I realized like, yeah, no, the fact that I want to be on Instagram all day and not working like tells me I should probably do something about that. So
very fair, very fair. Make it the thing that you get paid for. Perfect.
Exactly. And I think too, like I've always had very unsurprisingly a flair for the dramatics and a flair for attention. So
I literally have a podcast, so like obviously I'm obsessed with myself.
Well, and also it's good to be obsessed with yourself. It leads to more self-respect, honestly.
It really does. No, I think so too. I think a healthy dose of self-obsession is important because you have to hang out with yourself literally all day.
Right. And also it makes everything so much less hard. Like break up with me. Okay. Sounds good. You're lost.
Literally. I'm going to go make a joke about it on fucking TikTok and it's going to blow up. Okay.
Exactly. So yeah, probably then, but what about you? Like, what was your like trigger to like, oh yeah, that's the job I want.
Yeah, I mean, I think because I went in undecided when I went to college, but I think that I knew I wanted to do something in the creative arts side of things. And I loved social media. I loved writing. So journalism was like on the radar for a little bit. And then, I mean, similarly, I always cared about my Instagram more than like any of my friends in a way where like sometimes it was like, you care too much about this. Like, who cares about your aesthetic or like whatever?
No, because my friends would do that too. Like, I made that TikTok a couple days ago of like my 3 best friends. Like, I love that they never sigh or like groan. And I'm like, okay, I need a photo in this aesthetic. It has like I make mood boards before we hang out of like what the goal is. So I get that when it becomes, and it's not a bad thing. I think it can be super fun. And I think that's what people forget. Yeah. Social media can be so fun, you know?
Well, and it's like for people who didn't care about that and didn't find that fun, I fully understand. However, for me,
Totally.
this is like so much fun. I feel like it's a creative outlet for me beyond just like also posting fun things happening in my life. And I also, I mean, James, who is totally my Instagram boyfriend, he also was pretty into like art and things. So he was like, I love photography. And I was like, perfect, fucking take pics of me. This is actually a beautiful relationship that we are forming.
Exactly.
So that was, you know, part of the fun as well. And I mean, I think because my first job kind of just like landed in my lap when I was working as a social media manager for a salon. And that's when I was like, okay, because at first I was not necessarily just doing the social. I actually started out writing. So I was doing like blogs, email blasts, things like that. And someone else was running the social channels at the time. And then she quit and moved away. And I put myself in the ringer and I was like, I would love to take a stab at this. I think I could do a good job. And I didn't really have anything to show for myself. I mean, I had like on occasion run a couple social media posts when I worked at the university bookstore, but otherwise I had never done it professionally. And she was like, sure, like let's give it a go. Cause she had put out a job listing. Yeah. But then I kind of started doing it and I not to pat myself on the back, but I was doing a pretty good job. And so
no, that's great. That's incredible. Yeah.
And I liked it. And same thing for those brands. I had a lot of fun developing their aesthetic because I didn't feel like that was something we really had prior. I mean, we had like, you know, brand colors or whatever, but I was like, but we need to make this cooler because we're not actually telling a story right now. We're just posting shit. And so that's when I was like, yeah, I like this. I want to keep doing this.
Yeah. I think though, that's so incredible because I really admire you because you made your life what you want it to be, like wanted it to be. And there are so many people in life who just don't. And I think like I look for people who are close to my soul are people who I admire. And I live through that. I live that very deeply and I live that every day. I'm very conscious of who I keep close. And I just really admire it because you were so young and just like being like, no, this is what I want to do. And like, I'm going to get it, you know?
Yeah. I mean,
so I just think
thing
that's cool.
with, you know, having the realization halfway through school, like, this might not be for me because truly, I mean, that is tricky. And I know a lot of people who in that situation would be like, but whatever, I'm already here. This is what I've committed to.
I mean, it was kind of crazy because I actually didn't start my social media career until I was 20. I'm 25 now. And I didn't start until I was like 22. So I had a whole career in being an executive assistant. And it was so funny because I hated it. I loved it at one point. And then eventually I was just like, God, this sucks. Like knowing that I wanted to work in social media, I was being an executive assistant, an EA. And I remember talking to my best friend one night and I was like, oh my God, Allie, like, I just don't want to do that. I don't want to be an executive assistant ever again. And she goes, well, Sarah, stop applying for executive assistant jobs. And it like the most simple sentence blew my mind. And I was like, oh. So my first social media job was actually I got hired at an agency in February of 2020, which was crazy because obviously we all know what happened in March of 2020.
Yeah.
Luckily they kept me on, but there was a lot of like vouching for myself and being like, okay, yeah, I've never ran a social before, but like, look at mine or like, look at the strategies I've put together for like back in Green Bay, I managed some artists. So I was like, hey, like, look what I did for like this singer's profile, you know, and like trying to prove to somebody that these skills are transferable to social is super hard. So I get like that.
And I think that's also something that's really unique about what we do and also doing it for an agency because people hire us now because they see some value in social, obviously. But I also think we are constantly having to prove why what we do is valuable, even to the clients who have already hired us. And it's like, oh my God, an uphill battle for real.
It really is. I mean, we were both working in social during COVID, and it was insane how quick the first thing people got rid of was their social or comms team. And it was like, no, the one thing you actually need right now is communications and social, because that's how people are staying connected right now.
100%.
So to convince somebody that something is A and they think it's B is almost impossible. But man, that sucked. Our job sucked for a good like 6 months.
Literally, I know. Yeah,
because it was just, that was the case of the industry. I mean, that happened back in '08 during the recession. A lot of the jobs that were open were like communications, because it's just like, well, I'd rather cut a communicator versus like the finance guy. But it's like, I
totally.
don't know, equally right now, arguably, they're just as important, you know?
Well, and how else are you going to get your message out there? Also, at the end of the day, you can post on social media for relatively low cost or free. Whereas if you're
Exactly.
going to put out an ad, you have to pay someone to put out the ad and you have to put money behind the ad. You can
Mhm.
literally just pay someone to get an organic post up and out there. It's like one of the lowest hanging fruits, truly.
Ever. Yeah. Are you now though that, okay, so now that you've worked in social for a while, you consume social, are you kind of an asshole about like people's social medias? Because I am like,
100%.
I'll like go on my like Starbucks, favorite brand. I have a Starbucks every day. We all know it. Like I will, they just switched agencies and you can tell. And it's so
Yeah,
funny how now probably you and I have a different eye of consuming media of like, oh my God, this, they should have done this in this video instead. Or
totally.
like, what is this strategy? Or even arguably like semi influencers or people that we know with big followings. It's like, God, I wish I could just strategize for you because this sucks.
I know, I know. Well, and it's also really interesting now that we have a couple big clients or like being able to look into how other agencies operate. There are so
Yeah.
many agencies out there where they only every single person touches like one little small thing, and I feel like that also really messes with the strategy because I feel like now, like for those big brands, that idea has
Mhm.
probably gone through so many people's hands at this point in time, the whole meaning of it is lost. No one knows what it's doing
Exactly.
anymore, and it's
Exactly.
obvious.
Right, right, completely. And it's also one of those things where, I mean, we were making a joke of like, I wonder how some of those big brands got on the Twitter trend of like that one word trend, because it's like, do they have legal going? Like, did
Right.
legal approve it? Like, how did
Straight
they get
up.
that? Because it is, especially working in like with clients like ours, like how many people have to look at something and approve it and be okay with it, and it's like, okay, the trend has passed, you
It
know.
100%. It makes it so much harder to be reactionary, which is what you need to do
Mhm.
on social now. Because if you're not staying current, then there's truly no point.
Exactly. Yeah, it's so crazy. It's bizarre.
I mean, it's a really fun industry. I think I feel lucky to be a part of it as well because it still feels really new, and I think that that's a
Yes.
really fun part of it. And I think that's also why we still have to prove that it's valuable.
1,000%. Yeah. I mean, that's one of you and I interview to we're the interview queens. We interview together a lot of other people. And that's always one of my questions, as you know, of like, hey, like what made you want to go into social? Because it's not like being in finance or a lawyer or whatever. Like it's super new, you know?
Yeah. Well, and I feel like still today, I have a lot of people, if I say I work in social media, people are like, what does that even mean? You know, like
Oh,
that's totally the reaction that we get.
1,000%. Like trying to explain that even people our age, like arguably it's not just like mom and grandma that you have to explain your job to. It's like even friends of friends sometimes that they're like, what does that mean? Or sometimes I don't think some of my friends realized how intense our jobs can be until like
Yeah.
I was with them and we had to work, you know, or
Yes.
something like that. And they're like, oh.
Yeah, no, this shit is actually crazy.
Yeah.
And I
So I
think it
think
is
it's
also
interesting.
crazy because of the reactionary piece of it. I think it's also
Mhm.
crazy because sometimes your clients make it crazy.
Oh my God. Yeah. You know, working with people, it just is. I mean, that's just going to be any job that you have to work with people. But man, oh man. I think it's hard because we are in a customer service based industry, but in such a different way than people like people think when they think customer service, you think of like a restaurant or retail,
Yes.
where it's like we still have to cater to people, but in a different way, like so in such a different way than like
Yeah.
retail or like kitchen has to,
Right.
because like sometimes clients are just wrong and we have to tell them they're wrong, but you can't do that. You can't just be like, hey, you're wrong. Like how you
Yep.
can in retail. So you can just be like, no, that's not actually the sale.
No, 100%. And it's also really interesting too because we're sort of like the middleman. We're trying to balance the needs of the person who is
Mm-hmm.
giving us the business and has something they want to promote, but we're also trying to steer them in the direction that will be the most impactful for whomever's going to be the actual consumer.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
which is
And it's
so
even
crazy.
harder when the person we're catering to doesn't understand their consumer.
Yeah.
So like when they don't understand like what would hit with the
Right.
generation, whatever,
Yeah.
that is arguably the hardest part of the job, is like, one, understanding each audience we have to cater to,
Yeah.
but then trying to make that make sense into what we can do based on legal red tape,
I know. And it is. There are lots of legal things. I think that's why it's also fun to work at an agency of our size, because we get big clients and we get really small ones. And they're so different. I mean,
so different. I think it's also interesting because like the relationships we get to build, like not only interagency, like on the inside of our at Evoke, like I feel like we're all pretty close, but like, I know people I know people on both coasts working with like crazy names and titles. And it's like, wow, like I can say that I like know the CMO of a major company. And it's like, that's wild, like
it is really crazy.
We're in our mid-20s, like talking to these CMOs every other day. And it's like, oh, whoa, that's crazy.
Hello,
that's crazy.
Imposter syndrome. What is
oh my God, my best friend, especially during review season. I'm like, ooh,
oh my gosh, same. Yep, coming up. Love it.
We love it. It's also just, I don't know. I think the other thing that is important in our friendship is we balance that for each other of like, hey, like, no, we got here because we deserve to be here and we're skilled. But sometimes it is insane to sit here and be like, oh my gosh, we're middle 20-year-old managers managing people and also really big clients and like strategizing things with an audience of like, don't you have like 100K in one of your audiences?
We have almost 1 mil.
Yeah, that's okay. That is absolutely insane. You know what I mean? But like, obviously you're skilled and you got yourself here, and that's so something to be proud of. And it's just like, it's just cool. Like, you're just a cool person and you deserve to be exactly where you are. And it's just cool to see life come to like what you wanted it to be,
No, definitely. That feeling is so mutual. You're my sanity check at all times, which is so needed in the world of social media, let me tell you.
Literally.
So
I love it. No, it's been fun. It's just fun. And I think it's especially cool talking to you about it because we are such consumers.
Yeah.
And we are arguably, to pat myself on the back, like we're really good at our job. So we're creating what consumers want as a consumer. And it's so crazy to be like feeding ourselves.
Yes. I think that is why we're good at it too, because we literally live and breathe it. We are chronically online. We can't help it.
We can't help it. It's too good. Honestly, it was so uncomfortable though. Have you ever been like online at the exact same time as somebody else that you like don't want to be online? Like I was tweeting and somebody else was tweeting at the same time and it was like, get off. Like I want to be tweeting. Like,
this is actually my space. I'm taking the floor. Thank you so much.
Like my mic. Hello. Hi. Like I was like, go away.
That's so funny. That's when you hit the unfollow.
Yeah. Like taking up too much space on my feed.
Honestly, trim the fat. Sometimes it's just about cutting them loose.
That's what I'm saying. And also it's so funny because people find my Twitter and then I'm like, you know what? Follow at your own risk. Like it is risky to follow. It is so unhinged out there.
Twitter is my one platform where I don't feel that is such a special version of me that not everyone needs to see.
That is how I feel. Like you cannot hide who you are on Twitter. No. You can hide behind cute captions. You can hide behind a curated feed. What you can't hide behind? Twitter. Like
literally,
you can't hide behind your Twitter
thoughts. I don't think so. That I'm blasting out onto the internet. Dangerous.
Literally. And it's so funny. Like I made a joke today and I was like, ooh, that's like very Twitter humor. But somebody else came and met me with it. I was like, that's what's up. Because I was frustrated with something. I was like, sometimes I consider what life would be like at the bottom of a lake.
Yep. Twitter is known for its dark humor, 100%.
I was like, ooh. And then the person came back with, oh yeah, no, like every day that I drive across the bridge, I'm like, what if I just, and I was like, okay, we're good.
Yeah. I mean, truly, I think there is something to be said for being able to laugh at your darkest moments, because
Oh my
that is
God.
the only way that you can get through them. And it
Oh,
is silly. It
it
is.
is. It is. I mean, like literally, there have been times where I am sobbing on my floor, not my bed, my floor, and I'm tweeting because it's just like
Yes.
there's just,
We have
sometimes
to
life.
find a way to make an ironic joke about this.
Exactly, exactly. Every breakup, I tweet about it because you can't just. I mean, honestly, Twitter is my diary. Like every time I open up Time Hop and I go through my tweets, I'm like,
Yep.
ooh, yep, I remember exactly what that was about.
Oh my God, I know. That's also how I feel about like my Spotify. Hilarious.
Oh my God, my Spotify, man. I used to make really curated playlists. Like I used to be a Spotify girly. Now I just make every Jan 1, I create a playlist that's like jams 2022. And then I just add to that one
Yeah.
if I really like a song. But I should get back into the curated playlist vibe.
Yeah. I mean, and I even like Spotify can be social, like you can follow your friends on there. It's really interesting to see. I do have a couple of friends who are really into making playlists, and that's like such a
Mhm.
fun way for them to express themselves.
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
oh, it's kind of cool to see that you're in this mood today. Interesting.
Right. As somebody who is loosely in the DJ industry,
Has a couple of connections.
I think it is really interesting how music is so tied into, just like the human experience and the human emotion. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's also cool because, again, how deeply pop culture and music is intertwined,
Yeah.
and how like everybody knows like the Twilight. Well, okay, I guess it's specific, not everybody, but a specific group of people know how good the Twilight albums are,
Oh my God, the
and
Twilight soundtracks are literally amazing. Perfect
literally
for
life
fall as
changing.
well. They are.
Exactly, exactly.
Hmm.
So it's just funny how like all of that is so intertwined and how it can shape somebody's reality or like their truth of 2014,
Right.
of like,
No,
oh my God,
absolutely.
I remember the top song that I listened to every day in 2014 because of XYZ, and it reminds me of my boyfriend John, like
Yeah.
it's just funny.
No, it like fully transports you like it immediately back to that time and place. Good or
Yeah,
bad.
yeah, yeah. It's Twitter and Spotify are shaking
Literally.
hands.
Yes, they are. And we love that for them.
Yes. And then there's honestly the lunch table of social media would be hilarious. Like Twitter and Spotify being just unhinged and hilarious.
Hmm.
Instagram just telling everybody that their favorite color is the same as theirs. And
Yes.
Facebook being like way too old to be there, but
Not quite
wants
getting the
to hang out.
jokes.
Right.
Yeah.
And like laughing about something that somebody said 2 weeks ago, like, oh my God, I
Yes.
finally get it. Like it's giving like Karen from Mean Girls.
Yes,
Like
it
that
is. Yes, it
stuff.
is. Did you guys hear about this? Yeah, girl, we done
Yes.
moved on. Oh,
Like,
that's so true. And then TikTok's like the way too trendy young
oh my God.
person that everyone's
Yeah.
like trying really hard to understand.
It's so funny because college kids absolutely terrify me. Like they scare me more than anything. But
Hmm.
I keep getting asked to do AMAs for clubs at UW-Madison. And I feel like I can't say no because they're like interns that ask me to do it. And I'm
Yes,
like,
I
yeah, sure, I
know.
guess. But it's terrifying. Every time I walk into a room, I'm like, oh my God, you guys are all so much cooler than me. Like, I don't
I
know how to
know.
connect with you. Like, I am Facebook in that situation. I'm Facebook. So
That's how I felt every day walking around UW Madison's campus for the last 4 years post graduation. Like, it's just a really crazy feeling. And I don't actually feel like we are old, but then when I see, because I cannot keep up with them, and I never thought I would be like the girl who's like, oh, can't keep up with the youths. Nope,
no,
that's
I
me.
really can't. No. And it's so funny too, like, because I think you're super trendy. And it's so funny. Like last week when that girl came up to us and she was like, I love your outfits. And you had like this super cute, trendy outfit. Like you were killing it. And I'm in jeans and like an oversized t shirt. And I think she was being genuine, but it's just
I
so
do
funny
too.
how like we were so different on the spectrum. And it's just so sometimes I have to remind myself of that, of like, I don't know, some people think people are cool when they don't feel cool. So
Well, and that again is why I think there are so many fun little subgroups. Like anyone can be cool now. It's not like one version of
yeah,
cool. Where it was
right.
that's like so what we grew up with too was like one version, and then everyone was buying the exact same clothes. You just wanted to fit in so badly,
So
and now I
badly.
feel like kids are celebrating diversity, and that's awesome.
Isn't that so cool? Like, I know some of our coworkers who have like younger siblings, and they talk about that. Of just like, it's just so different out there right now. Just like, it just like doesn't matter. It, like, I could never be in high school now because like girls make TikToks about each other, and like I do not have thick enough skin for that. But you can wear whatever you want.
Literally finding the fucking positives. I know. I am glad that I am not in middle school during the time of social media the way that it is now. I do not envy
Oh,
that. I feel for those fucking
no.
girls, but they're making it work. I gotta say.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, we had, what was like your school's social media? Ours was Twitter. We had like one time the dance team and another clique got in a week-long Twitter fight to the point where like our school tried to firewall Twitter, and we wrote a letter and got like 200 signatures on it to our principal about how Twitter is a news source and we needed it. But really we just wanted it back for the fight.
That is
So
iconic.
yeah, it was it was intense. Like people got expelled for like subtweet bullying. Like it was insane.
That's
Twitter
so
was
crazy.
yeah, no, Twitter was like Bayport's crack cocaine. Like it was insane.
Well, because like in middle school, I remember when AIM first came out, and that was like the first version of social that I feel like I had a lot of access to. And then
Yeah.
MySpace and Facebook. And then I would agree, I would say early high school, Twitter. And actually, I have had to go back. I've like looked at some of my tweets. I was like, this shit is cancelable. Like the stuff that I was tweeting when I was in high school, who allowed me on this fucking platform?
literally one time so my Twitter was private for a long time, and then I just like opened it up because whatever. But before I opened it up, I literally had to do my own like PR because I was like, there was one tweet specifically, and it took me forever to find it. So there was this guy at Bayport who like very famously was like, jet fuel does not melt steel beams. Like it was like that was what he was known for. Like he did not fuck with 9/11. Like he was like, this is an inside job. Like it was crazy. So
that's also a really crazy thing to take a stance on as a high schooler. Like, shut up.
Oh, it was, and like our like teachers were in on it. Like it was crazy. Like, so we used to dub it like his name. Like we used to be like, happy XYZ day instead of 9/11. Yeah. One time I tweeted, oh my God, it was so stupid. I was like, haha, it's 9/11. And I just got a notification that so-and-so is tweeting about it. Big surprise. Oh my God. I was like, oh no. I could get fired for that someday, bro. Like I need to cancel that, right? Like nothing is funny about that, which at the time everybody got why that tweet was funny, but like, nope, gotta go. I
actually thought that the discourse around 9/11 this year was really interesting on social, because some people were like, this was the least 9/11-y 9/11 of all time.
9/11. It really was though. Like my brands didn't ask me to do anything with it this year.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, it was mostly millennials and things on Twitter who were joking about like Gen Z being like, what is 9/11? Like,
no, it's true. It's true though. And I think like why it was so memed this year is because people didn't, like you and I think we probably were I don't think we were in school yet, but like I know obviously my older siblings were like, they had to watch it on TV at school. Yeah. Like, you know, I think it just hits different. Like after arguably our generation, like it doesn't, the gravity isn't there, you know. But truly it was
not. Yeah.
No, it was the least 9/11 in modern history, I think, you know.
I think so too. And it's just interesting how stuff like that kind of not runs its course, because obviously that was devastating and people still have insane amounts of trauma from it, but quite literally, like, it's just being talked about less, and that is crazy, because now it's just kind of cementing itself as a piece of history instead of like our reality, you know?
Yeah, but isn't that like, I think of like my dad's old, he's 65, right? So he, like when he was in kindergarten and first grade and like grade school, he was practicing drills for the Cold War, bro. Like, and that's just crazy because like that was his reality. And now it's just like, I don't know, like Russia was crazy. Like that was my reality. That's my reality of
100%.
the Cold War. So it's just funny that like we're kind of caught in the middle of the trauma of it, but also like, yeah, I don't know.
Well, and we're just also fully in the place where when something bad happens, we meme it. That's just who we are. It literally could be the most tragic thing you've ever seen, and we're out here making memes because guess what? That's how we cope, honey.
Truly. And I think that the pipeline of growing up in social media to making memes has to be connected, because that's like dark, you know?
It is. It's honestly super fucked up, and yet I'm over here like retweet.
Retweet. Like, oh my God. And that was, again, back to when Queen Elizabeth died. Like, it was just, honestly, the first thing that you and I first talked about was like the fact that every major magazine, like Time, had that shit her memorial posted within 3 seconds of the death.
I
like,
know.
It's crazy that like Strategist has had this post ready for years.
And just with a couple dates they need to swap out or whatever it is, you know, it's just nuts. I think it's really crazy to pre-plan those kinds of things. And on obviously like a less socially aware version of this is like the fact that somebody spends their whole day, weeks, writing press releases and all these things on who wins the Super Bowl. And then if that team loses, you're out. You know, it's just like so crazy that people are getting paid to write a whole bunch of things about something that's literally not even going to happen. They're designing posts, they're designing T-shirts, they're making press releases, they're making news stories. It's just crazy.
I would be so pissed. I would like me getting upset when one graphic doesn't get like approved by legal. Like, can you imagine your entire everything you just worked on for the last year just out the door? You know,
straight up.
Oh, I'd be so mad. But yeah, no, it's crazy how, and again, I think that speaks to our level of like, I don't know if deep is the right word, but like our view of the world of like, oh my God, the Queen died, but isn't it weird that Time already has a post up? Like that is bizarre. And I think speaks to like our idea of the world working in social, but also consuming.
Because for the most part, I honestly think someone who's reading that Time article who isn't on the back end isn't thinking twice about it.
No, they're like, oh my God, it's so sad. You know, like my mom did not think about like, oh, that's weird how like fast, like because to everybody else, they're like, oh my God, this news story got out so quick. Like, this is crazy. But to us, it's like, yeah, but they had to make that news story, you know?
No, it is. It's really interesting. And I think that's why it's so fun to work in this industry, because it really does. I just feel like I get to be on both sides of it in the best and worst ways.
Yes. Isn't that the truth? Is that not the truth? I know. It's funny because I always joke like, this is my dream job. And then some days I'm like, is it? And then I'm like, yeah, no, it is. Because it's crazy. Like, there's just like a wealth of information that I think you and I have that like people just don't, you know?
Mm-hmm. And we got to keep fighting to make people understand that it's valuable, but for the most part, it's working. So I'm feeling good about that.
most Monday to Fridays, it works well.
Yes, it does. Well, I'm so excited we could do this. And
oh my gosh, me too.
It's just like fun to gush over all this nerdy stuff that we care about as well.
No, I know. It's just so fun. It makes me feel like known, like my soul has a place on earth, you know?
Yes.
I love it.
I'm also obsessed with how dark it's gotten in both of our apartons. Like, literally,
I know.
It's pitch black.
It's literally, it's what we can see is from our computer screens at this point. Like,
I
love it.
But that's how you know it was a good conversation. Took us well into the night.
Yes, I adore you, and I am just so thankful for our friendship and our work friendship. And I don't know, I just love you, and I think it's so fun that we get to be obsessed with social and, you know, view each other's Twitter likes and still love each other somehow.
Yes, literally. I haven't given you the ick yet, somehow.
Yeah, literally. We're waiting for the day. No, honestly, it's so funny because sometimes I'm like, will this cross the line? Like, no, whatever. It's Twitter.
We're just going to play our cards. Put them all out on the table. No, I love it. And I'm so glad we could do this. It has definitely been a long time coming. I've loved this conversation, and you have to be a returning guest very soon.
Oh my God. Yes, I will come hang out whenever you want me.
Yay. Well, amazing. And thank you guys so much for listening to us gush about social for the last hour or so. It's one of our favorite things. fucking follow us. I'm literally going to drop all of our links. We'll have to decide if we think Twitter is appropriate.
Twitter is appropriate.
More to come on that. But thank you guys for listening, and I will be back to chat with you all again next week. Bye. Another cathartic convo in the books. I feel better. How about you? Thank you so much for listening. Now I just want to jump on here and say, don't forget to follow and or subscribe to the pod on your favorite streaming platform for new episodes every single week, because I know you can't get enough of me. Additionally, if you want to gain access to exclusive episodes and behind the scenes bloopers and lots of other goodies, join our Patreon and support the pod with your hard-earned American dollars. You can find the link in our show notes, or you can also visit us at patreon.com/pessimistic@best. And of course, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at pessimistic@best. And if you're as obsessed with me as I am with you, you can find me at Sam Georgeson on all platforms. And last but not least, I'd like to give a special shout out to my podcast editor and producer, the love of my life, James Arbai, whom I literally could not do this without. So thank you, James. I love you so much. And thank you guys for joining me again this week. I love you too, and I cannot wait to chat with you again soon.